T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and lift off. Go south. Go south on the side.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
At T plus 30 seconds and counting, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying the Merah Putih 2 payload. During ascent, we tilt the engines, also known as gimbaling, and that turns the rocket horizontally in what we call a gravity turn. In a gravity turn, the vehicle is still going up, but now we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Max Q.
Just heard, we had max Q, and the rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get into orbit. So keep an eye on the Stage 1 telemetry that's at the bottom of your screen. Now we have 3 events coming up in quick succession, starting with MECO, or main engine cutoff, stage separation, SES-1, or second engine start 1. And that's coming up in around 30 seconds from now.
Vehicles on the nominal trajectory.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
And there you heard and even saw those 3 events that happened back to back, which are MECO, stage separation, and second engine start 1. Coming up next will be fairing separation. That's in about a minute from now.
And vacuum pressures are nominal.
We have some really beautiful views from space. You can see the grid fins have deployed on the left-hand side of your screen on the first stage.
Fairing separation confirmed.
We just saw fairing separation, and we'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth with our recovery vessel, Bob.
Both vehicles are on a nominal trajectory.
It's now T plus 4 minutes and 20 seconds into today's mission. Just past the T plus 6 minute mark, you should see on your screen the first stage entry burn. To start the entry burn, we'll relight 3 M1D engines, starting with the center engine, known as E9, followed shortly by the E1 and E5 engines. And it's similar to pumping the brakes to slow down the vehicle as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow down to reduce re-entry forces, which then helps us recover and reuse the first stage. During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but we're still moving really fast, and this causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, which are also known as the plume, and this deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle surface. And that soot comes from the carbon-based fuel, the RP-1, that Falcon 9 burns, and with each flight, the soot builds up a little bit more on the outside of the vehicle. Oftentimes, prior to launch, you can see that soot on the first stage as it's sitting on the pad. We have a really awesome view of stage 2, and you can see on your screen it's still picking up speed, and as it heads to its destined orbit.
Both stages are on a nominal trajectory.
Entry burn on the first stage is coming up in a couple seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Stage 1 FTS is safed.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
So on the left-hand side of your screen, we have stage 1. You could see that it really decelerated as its speed slowed down. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical scientific research. The Falcon 9 first stage that's supporting today's mission will perform this entry burn for its 17th time, having previously supported missions like CRS-22 and 25, NASA Crew 3 and Crew 4, and Turksat 5B.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Stage 1 transonic.
The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level and achieve 190,000 pounds of thrust each during ascent and entry. After liftoff, Falcon 9's first stage has more thrust than 5 747 airplanes at full power. The MVAC engine, with a much wider nozzle, is optimized to 220,500 pounds of thrust in vacuum.
Stage 1 landing burn startup. And the next shutdown.
Nominal park orbit insertion.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And there
Stage
you
1
have
landing
it.
confirmed.
That landing marks SpaceX's 275th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. We still have one more burn of our second stage engine before we're ready to deploy Merah Putih 2 today. In a moment, we'll be going into coast, and we'll see you back here at the T+27 minute mark for the relight of our MVAC engine. But before we do, let's take a deeper dive on how Thales Alenia Space is growing the network.
Telkom